Get your apps ready for live Q&A. Grant will be taking questions after our conversation. Please, everyone, join me in giving a warm NACD welcome to the truly remarkable Grant Hill. Hello, Sil. Have a seat. All right. First of all, we do have limited time today because we have to move on to other things. So I just want to tell you all, and I'm not his publicist, but you all have to read Grant's book, Game. It is phenomenal, even if you are not a basketball fan. That makes it exciting, but there are so many lessons in there about life and about resilience and how being an athlete really prepares you to do a lot of other things in life. It is motivational, inspirational. It's almost like a playbook for how to be a successful person, how to remain resilient, how to push through adversity. And just a trigger warning, because I told y'all that I'm a Michigan Wolverine. There are quite a few references to how he dominated our team back in the early 90s. So just FYI, if you are a fan of our team, that is the only, there's the book. Those little references to the Michigan Wolverines and the fact that you passed us up to go to Duke, I think that those were your only mistakes in life that I can see. Okay, but tell me, he's like, what? No, anyway, so I want to get to some of the things. I mean, obviously, you have extended your career far beyond basketball in so many different business ventures and philanthropies, board memberships as well. I would love to know, though I know a lot of people ask you this question, but what is just that best moment in your basketball career? And I know that there have been a lot. I mean, you're a Hall of Famer, you won 2 national championships at Duke, you had a storied career over 4 teams. You can take that question in whatever way you want. If it's that thing that you still dream about at night, if it's that thing that was just like, what a great day. Whatever you see fit, and then tell me about it.
Well, first of all, Eva, thank you for that incredible plug for my book.
It's so good.
And also thank you as a Michigan Wolverine alum for wearing the Duke blue.
I did it. I did it.
Here today.
I did it.
It's very kind of you.
It was very kind of me.
And very difficult as well,
It's very
too.
difficult for me.
You know, it's interesting. I think the process of writing a book, your memoir, to all your children, please advise them it's not the in thing to be too trendy when you're a teenager, because it comes back to haunt you later.
I bet you started a trend, I gotta be honest. All right, so you talked about some of that adversity, some of the injuries that were not only career-threatening, but became life-threatening ultimately. And we may not all be able to identify with being a superstar athlete, but everyone in this room is charged with the responsibility of bringing their companies through and beyond some of the most difficult times in our country's history. Unprecedented social justice issues, environmental concerns that we've never seen before, and a global pandemic that really sort of highlighted a change and a shift in the way that people want to work and live. Yesterday, we had a conversation about employee management, recruitment, retention, productivity of employees, the number 2 risk next to cybersecurity if you don't focus on it. All the while, these folks, these highly skilled and diverse workers, are in a relative bargaining position. Because if you don't reflect the values and purpose that they want to see in the workplace and not just in their social lives, they'll go somewhere else. So I would love to know, sort of how you manage all that, how you drowned out some of that noise. And we can talk about the employment issue a little bit further down the line, but how do you manage all that noise, all the things that these folks need to be concerned with, because they're sort of the leaders, right? Like you are too in your board memberships. How do you remain resilient? I heard you that you talked about maybe losing your edge a little when you were injured. How do you get over that hump, get over the COVID hump, and regain that edge and keep moving forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. Certainly unprecedented times right now. And a lot of what you talked about certainly are agenda items and discussions for us on the numerous boards I serve on. Those values that are invaluable, that have stuck with me and are applicable now at this point in my career.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good reminder, because I think that everybody sitting in this room, they wouldn't be on a board unless they were highly competitive, because that's sort of the pinnacle. So just reflect on how you want to beat your family at Trivial Pursuit, and that'll keep you going through these tough times, right? Okay, let's get to that employment issue, though. So you're on Campbell Soup Company and also on Empire State Realty Trust, these boards. It's not necessarily a natural segue, but like you said, you were always looking for that. I heard that Coach K used to talk about like the next play. You focus on the next play. And it seems like that even before Coach K, you had that in your DNA, that you were looking ahead and onto that next play. So now you're on these boards, and how do you advise them? Of course, you're resilient. Of course, sports taught you that. But how do you advise them to look at these diversity, equity, inclusion issues and these issues with employment and retention and attraction? How do you talk to them and advise them on creating those cultures, the pitfalls, and what has worked for you so that they can attract the right talent? Because, like I said, next to cybersecurity, the talent issue is a big one these days.
Yeah, no, I mean, when you do a risk management profile, that is the number one behind, as you said, cybersecurity. We have to understand that change is happening, and I think it's an opportunity. I think those companies that embrace that change can really get a leg up on the competition.
Yeah, I think that's been a common thread throughout, because Danielle and Richard were just talking about that too. Have those hard conversations, invite those hard, if you're in the C-suite. Yesterday, Shelley Archambault, she also said she advises everybody in the C-suite to go out and sponsor 2 people, who do not look like them, and have those conversations. And even Admiral Stavridis said we need to incorporate people on our teams who think differently, and also even politically, and have those conversations, because we don't necessarily need to know how to tell our executives to attract and retain those employees. Just go out and ask them. But you're not going to do it unless you make the C-suite, accessible to these folks, and they really feel like they can participate and be invited. So I love that perspective. Okay, so one of the things that is truly remarkable about you, and I think that this is part of the reason why these boards want you on their board, is you have been a master at your brand. I read in your book that you chose a lawyer instead of an agent early on, which I just think is genius in terms of preserving the brand and being more in control of your brand, because often agents decide how they want to craft your brand. And I would love to know how you advise your organizations to develop and protect their brand consistent with their purpose, consistent with their values, all while answering to their constituents, their employees, their customers, their ultimate stakeholders, their shareholders.
Yeah, no, great question, and thanks for the compliment. So have these ongoing discussions, make it an agenda item, so we can hear from management. We can, provide oversight and at least continue to stay relevant with our consumers.
Okay, speaking of Campbell's soup, because I just saw a commercial where you poured a cream of something Campbell's soup into a one-pot dish and made a whole meal, and I was like, oh, look at them being relevant. Because everybody's just too busy right now. So it used to be about the chicken noodle soup and the little kid, and now I guess you're responsible for like a quick and easy meal using Campbell's soup.
I'm not taking responsibility, but since you're giving it to me, I'll take it. No, I mean, I think you're right, and certainly that's the power of messaging. And like Campbell's soup, for example. I mean, soup 5 years ago, there was questions whether that was still relevant. And then we go through COVID. And then all of a sudden now people are, canned items, Campbell's. So anyway, it was a chance to sort of introduce Campbell's to a younger audience who has embraced it, and it's been it's been an interesting, with supply chain issues, and inflation, and so on and so forth. But continuing to focus on your messaging, your marketing, who your consumer is, how they process information, the internet, social media, TikTok.
Yeah.
Who would have thought my children's TikTok is now one of the more popular social media platforms? So we have to have a strong presence. We have to be innovative. And I think all companies, at least CPG companies or consumer packaged goods, are aware of this and are adapting with the times.
And it's also the value of having somebody who's young on your team. And there's all different kinds of diverse components that can come and aid you in that. I got my 22-year-old, she learns all of her news from TikTok. Sometimes I learn news from her TikTok. So I want to get to some audience questions because there's so many of them coming in, but I have to ask you just for my own edification, hopefully this is interesting to some people. If you were to recreate a dream team today, in 1996, obviously you were on the dream team, right? Was that when it was?
96, yeah.
96, okay, so if you had to recreate the dream team, you have no arthritis, so you were obviously on the team. That electric, my brother-in-law, I remember watching Grant Hill and that electric play on TV, we all remember it, because you went to Duke instead of Michigan and we had to watch you just pound us. But anyway, I'm not. 5
times. I beat you all 5 times.
This is the kind of thing he says in his book. There's literally a part.
I'm sorry,
I don't want to spoil it for you, but there's a part in the book, and the coach tells him, it's really hard to beat a team 3 times because they're going to play somebody, for a 3rd time. It's really hard to beat a team, and he says, except Michigan. Sorry, just had to do that. Anyway, I did not stop reading because it's really good and he's very funny. Okay, so who would be your dream team? And they can be past, present players, and even if they're not around anymore. Who would be your starting 5?
Oh, wow.
And are you playing small forward? Are you playing point? What are you doing? Just tell me what you're going to do.
Yeah, so since you've inserted me on my dream team, I'll take that. And I think Michael Jordan, attracting, training, and retaining talent.
Yeah, it's interesting because I played sports not as well as you did, but they did call me Chocolate Lightning in the 6th grade because I was faster than everybody. I don't know if they could use that term these days.
What was your nickname?
Chocolate Lightning, because I was fast.
Okay. That's creative.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Very creative for a bunch of 11, 12-year-olds. But, you always see like the team that really has great camaraderie, they just play that, when they're in sync, and that really does translate to what you're talking about in the culture. Even if they're not sitting in an office next to each other, if you're doing these sort of bonding type exercises or whatever it is. At my husband's office, they give him free lunch to come in. So, whatever it takes. I could spend all day with you. There is no, question as to why you won the NBA Sportsmanship Award 3 times, because you are a remarkable man. You're such a kind man. Thank you for imparting all of your advice.